Stoicism is a word I often heard when I was first getting into minimalism, but I wasn't quite sure what it meant. If I'm being honest, I never really cared to learn what it meant before calling it pretentious. Having done a little bit of research myself and reading into it for the past few months, I found that it has a lot in common with minimalism, which is probably why it's appealing to me so much. I'm pretty sure Stoicism has been around much longer than minimalism, and I can definitely see how minimalism was inspired and embraces this philosophy. This is how I'm becoming a Stoic. First, if you're new to my channel, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism and things of that nature, so if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and consider subscribing. Let's get started. First, I would like to try my best to understand what something is exactly before I start to consider myself one. One simple sentence to define Stoicism: the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings or without complaint. And I believe this goes hand in hand with minimalism, because just how minimalism preaches about spending our time and energy wisely, I feel like Stoicism does the same thing but with our feelings and concerns. The first way I'm becoming a Stoic is by focusing on myself more. Now, is focusing only on yourself only the trait of a Stoic? Probably not, but hear me out. As minimalism taught me to put my time and money into places that I deem absolutely necessary, Stoicism is doing the same thing with my feelings and concerns. And myself, just as I'm sure a lot of you watching have put more time than we would care to know into worrying about the opinions of others. One thing I feel particularly strong about is not letting people decide for me or having some sort of expectation of me that they create in their own minds. I guess by that I mean somebody getting upset with me by some sort of expectation they made up in their own mind isn't my fault or problem. And to hear me say that and think it sounds selfish or inconsiderate, well, that just proves my point. I think most of us, including myself, do a lot of things because of the expectations of others, and not so much because we want to just do it for ourselves. So I think for a while I'm going to try my best to exclusively worry about myself and my own problems and not take on anyone else's problems. I don't remember exactly who said it, but there was one Stoic philosopher who said, we can't control everything bad that happens to us, just how we react to it. And I find a lot of truth in that. So I'm trying to apply that to just about every single, even little inconvenience in my life. Now, the second way I'm becoming a Stoic is realizing that there is life after failure. There have been so many times in my life where I thought the next thing that I achieved would be the absolute light at the end of the tunnel. That somehow everything would be so easygoing and smooth sailing from there. Not only was that never true, it set an immense amount of pressure on achieving whatever this next goal was, thus making a failure seem so much more significant than it might have actually been. I've probably failed more things than I've achieved, and thinking back to all my failures, they've set off a course of events that have led me on a path where I am today. And that path is still taking its course every second of every day. I'm sure a lot of us at some point have felt like the world is going to end because of some missed opportunity or some failure. And as cliche as it sounds, life continues regardless of the outcome, whether we like it or not. I think a simple way to think of this is I'm going to stop making every single little failure much more significant than it actually is. So many times I blow things out of proportion in my own mind when it's probably really not that big a deal. So I guess in a nutshell, I'm going to take failures as they come and just remember that they're part of every process. And the last way I want to become Stoic is by being present. And I saved this one for last because it's something that's probably going to take the longest time for me. I know a lot of us can relate to this because myself and a lot of people I know are very, very concerned about what's happening in the future or what they did or didn't do in the past, rather than what's going on right now and what can actually be controlled right now. My current and favorite quote that I've come across while looking into Stoicism: "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." And just taking a second to consider how true this actually is amazing. Without getting too specific, I can just think of a number of times where I absolutely dreaded a day coming up because I was anxious or scared of what was going to happen that day. And sometimes it ruined days or even weeks before that date. And to me, it's kind of interesting to think about how a day or an event that hasn't happened yet is ruining my present moments. This is probably a lot easier said than done, but I think trying to live more in the present will save me a lot of headache and anxiousness moving forward. There's really no sense in worrying about something that hasn't happened yet, has already happened, or that is completely out of my control. Again, this is going to take some practice because naturally I worry about a lot of things, and that's why I saved this one for last. It's going to take me a while. Anyways, those are just a few ways I'm embracing Stoicism, and I'm really excited about this moving forward. Ultimately, this philosophy appeals a lot to me because it embraces our inner peace and more so with being happy with ourselves rather than everybody else being happy with us. And I hope a lot more people will look into this and try their best to live a more stoic lifestyle. I think applying this with minimalism and essentialism will hopefully provide me with just a little bit more mental clarity. But as always, I appreciate your time watching this video. If you did find some value or at least entertainment out of this, consider liking and subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.